So for those who didn't already know about the cake is a lie reference, there's a video game called Portal where this lovely AI tries to kill you in many unique different ways, and the way that she tries to tempt you into them is by offering you cake. So the cake is a lie, and it links into AI that way for us. So I've started off, I've given a link to everybody to put into a word cloud what they think of when they think of Microsoft AI. I've got all sorts of different things coming in here. And interestingly, we've not had the same thing entered twice. It's all been different things going in. So a few people have figured out what we're going to be looking at today already. We're not going to be going into things like chatbots and stuff like that, because that's a little bit more complex than the level I'm looking at with this. This is AI tools that are available to everybody right off the bat right now. So you'll be able to go away out of this session and straight away be able to use those tools. So I'm just going to put that on mute. There we go. So let's get started with it. For those who don't know me, I'm Stephen Taylor. I'm the Senior Learning Technologist at Blackpool and Fylde College, and I'm very active on Twitter, so you can follow me there with @SteveTaylorGFA. GFA stands for Games for All, if you were curious, hence the game references that you might find scattered throughout everything I do. So our first bit of AI, hopefully everybody's come across this at least once or twice, is PowerPoint Live. So when you're doing a PowerPoint session, you can actually do it as PowerPoint Live on there if you're launching it from the web browser. So I'll just demonstrate that to you. If I pop into there, I'll just open a random PowerPoint. There, that'll go. So you open it specifically on the web app. This doesn't work from the desktop app. It has to be on the web. You go to slideshow. And you can see here it's saying present live. It takes a little bit of time for it to think through before it allows you to use it. Hopefully it's going to come up as an option. Otherwise, this is going to make me look slightly silly. But ordinarily, present live would be there. It's probably because I'm already using PowerPoint in a live setting anyway at the moment. But pressing that button would then launch a window that looks a little bit like this with the QR code on it. And your students are able to click on that QR code and they're able to join in, seeing any seeing a transcript of what you're saying, seeing all of your slides. They're able to go back through the slides themselves. They're able to give you thumbs up, smiley faces, confused faces, all sorts of different things are able to be sent out through PowerPoint Live to help you keep track of what your students are doing and how they're finding the lesson. Personally, having the ability for your students to go back to a PowerPoint slide is a game changer. How many times do you get interrupted by a student going, could you go back a slide on that one? I didn't quite finish getting my notes down. If you've given them the power to be able to go back themselves through those slides, to be able to see what they missed and be able to write it down, you're not going to get those interruptions anymore. The feedback tools are useful, but the only one that I'm massively interested in is the confused face, because this is going to allow students to send directly onto the screen to you a sign that they've been confused by whatever it is that you're talking about. Crucially, it doesn't tell you who is confused. So for those students who are a bit shy of telling all of their classmates that they're not getting something, or a bit embarrassed about telling all their classmates that they're not understanding something, then you've got this instant tool where they can just show they're confused. You don't know who it was, just somebody in your class is confused. That gives you a chance to change your tack to try and explain it in a slightly different way to make sure that it's getting across to all of your students. Whilst you're in the PowerPoint Live, you've also got the ability to copy a link to it, and you can show the welcome screen at any point. And it generates a transcript as well that the students can change the language of what they're reading as well, which is just mind-blowing. It's not quite as intelligent as being able to take what you're saying, reshuffle the sentence structure, and make it make sense in Chinese or in what other language? Welsh or Arabic or whichever language it is that's needed. But it will do a direct translation word for word of what you're saying. And that's better than nothing, isn't it? Speaking of live captions, even when you're not in PowerPoint Live, PowerPoint has this little button down here that looks like a little bit like a keyboard. If I click on there, it's going to start listening to what I'm saying, and it's going to start live captioning what I'm saying. So even without using PowerPoint Live, the AI is able to pick up on what I'm saying and put it on the screen for all of your readers to follow along with, which is a massively, massively powerful tool. I know that we're going to be heading back towards one-to-one, not one-to-one, in-person sessions again soon. But I think all students should have laptops in front of them. They should have us broadcasting our PowerPoints through to them. So if they have visual impairments, if they've got auditory impairments, they've still got the tool directly in front of them. No more will you need to sit people near the front of your lecture halls or near the front of your classrooms just because they've got poor vision. They can sit where it's comfortable for them and still be able to follow along. So very powerful tools there. The next thing is PowerPoint Designer. So PowerPoint Designer takes whatever you put on the page and adds a spin to it to make it look better. So let me give you some demonstrations. So I'll drag PowerPoint over. I'm going to put a blank slide in just here. So let's assume that this was a title slide for us. And it looks all right like that, but maybe I want it to look that bit better. I want it to look more like a title slide for me. So I'm going to put a title on and let's just call it Ideas. I'm then going to go onto Design. I'm going to open Design Ideas, or try to. Why is it not coming up for me today? It's probably because I am broadcasting this one at the same time. Let me find another one to use. It's always great when technology doesn't quite do what you want it to do. If I just open a blank one. There we go. It's working on this one. So into design ideas, and it pops this up at the side. And even without any text in, it's given us some ideas of what we might want to use as a theme for our lessons. So it's not very big on there, I'm afraid. I can't quite, no, I can't magnify that side of it, unfortunately. But if I click on that one, now you see you've got these different ideas coming in. If I just undo that and I type a word in, it should change what the design ideas are. Yep, it starts to think about it. And now it's come up with some ideas to do with ideas for you. So it takes the thinking out of you having to put different slide backgrounds in for you. It's just got those for you right there to go with and gives you some things that you can use. It's not just for title slides though. So you can see I've chosen this one and it's carried the theme on throughout. I can start adding some text in here and I can make a list. So let's put some bullets in here and go, let's call it people, websites, and robots, for instance. So I've put in 3 bullet points there. Let's click off and go into our design ideas. It's now come up with some ideas for what I might want to use as a design for it. So it's picked up on the fact that I've used the word robots. So it's said, well, do you want to have some robots in there? It makes it look a little bit neater as a smart art. Now, as somebody rightfully pointed out the other day, smart art isn't very accessible. You will need to go through and add alt text to these if you want it to be fully accessible, but it's definitely already starting to look better. So as I go down, more design ideas, it's picked up all sorts of different ways that we could demonstrate these things for us. If I put a new slide in and let's put some pictures in. So if I insert some online pictures, let's just go for, let's see what AI gives us. There we go. So let's pop that one in, and that one in. So it's popped those 3 pictures in. It's now come up with ideas of how would you like those pictures to be displayed on the screen. So you've got lots of different options there again. And you don't need to stick with one of these. You can pick one that looks the way that you want it to look, then move the pictures around to get them where you want them to be. But instantly, it's taking all of that thought about slide design and just making it so much easier for you on there. And this can work with pictures, it can work with text boxes, it can work with lists. It gets a little bit confused when you start putting multiple things in though. So if you start putting in lots of videos, if you start putting in lots of pictures, things like that, it does start to get a little bit more funny, and eventually it'll say, I'm sorry, we don't have design ideas for this one. But until you reach that point, you can use it. So let's see how many pictures we can get on here before it starts saying that. Just so I can give you the right number. I think it might be 6, but we'll find out in a moment. So we got those 3. Let's pop on. There we go. Let's pop them on to. There's 6 pictures on here now. So there we go. Sorry, no design ideas for this slide. But if I take off, I don't want to take off all of them. Take off that one. That one. There we go. It can cope with 4 on this one. I'm sure I've been able to get it to work with 5 before, but it must be the sizes of the pictures that's causing the issues for it. So there we go. That is PowerPoint Designer. Have we got any questions on that front whilst I'm here? Let's have a look. Yes, as I said, the design ideas aren't necessarily fully accessible, just because it's making some things into picture layers. So you just need to go through and put in alt text. So for instance, on this one here, we've got this there, and we should be able to, there we go, edit alt text. And in here, you would just write sites, robots, like that. So people can then actually use the accessibility tools that they need, and they'll be able to see that even if they're using the accessibility tools for it. Okie dokie. So let's minimize that down and pop through. So there's a few other examples of PowerPoint Designer on this slideshow as well, and I'll make this slideshow available after the session. One thing it does with certain lists, and it didn't do it with that last one, which was a shame, is it can come up with pictures and symbols that you might want to use for it as well, which again, just look pretty and look nice. The next thing on PowerPoint is Rehearse with Coach. Now, this is another one for the online version of it. And again, for some reason, just isn't showing up for me on some of these slides. I need to, there we go. Rehearse with Coach has come available now that it's thought about it. I can click on here and it can start giving you feedback. It can even give you body language feedback, which is a new feature into your Rehearse with Coach. So it's going to record you and it's going to tell you about your body language as you go. It takes about a minute of you talking. So I'm just going to boot it up and we'll just see how it copes with it. Let me allow it to use my camera. Let's make sure it can actually see me. There we go. So it starts You click start rehearsing, and now it's picked me up. And it'll go for about a minute or so, and it'll start giving me ideas. So straight away there, it's like, face your camera, stop looking up at the screen that's above it. And it's going to start picking up on the sorts of terminology I'm using. It's going to tell me how long I'm spending on slides. It's going to tell me what my pace is like, all sorts of different things from this. So I am just going to keep talking. Stop telling me about eye contact. I know, but my screen is up here, not down here. That's why I use this camera for whilst I'm talking to you guys, because at least then it's looking at my face. So we've got quite a few different things in here where it's popping up and telling me, you're saying a lot. Stop covering your face. Stop using the term guys. Things like that to help us out. So I'm just going to keep going until we get to the 1 minute mark. Then I'm going to stop it, and you'll see the report that we get at the end. So if I click through to the end of this now, no, not that one. Silly thing, where's it gone? Oh, I think I crashed it. That's always fun, isn't it? Yep. I apologize for that one, guys. I clicked through too fast. So it's still doing it in the background somewhere, but where have we gone? Aha, there it is. So I want to click through to the end of this slide. Finish it off. There we go. It's now given us a rehearsal report at the end. And you can see it's told you how long you've spent, how many slides you went through, what was your pace, what was your pitch, what's your average pace over time, body language, saying, keep eye contact with people, keep the view of your face clear, your distance is consistent. Well, I'd hope so, because I'm sat in a chair, I'm not standing up and moving around. It gives you an originality score, a repetitive language one, and also sensitive phrases as well. So it's quite useful. It also tells you what fillers you use. So I know I use a lot. I use it so much that in my recordings, when I'm editing them, I now know exactly what the waveform for when I've said an looks like. So I know I can go there and try and cut it out. But also saying in this one a lot. So it tells you things that you need to be thinking about. Quite good for us if we're practicing on talking in front of a large group of people. Brilliant for our students, this one, because it's going to tell them this is how you do public speaking. This is how you do a presentation. So lots of different things in there that you can use. So that's our PowerPoint stuff. I'll just click back into here. The next thing that we've got along, and I'm just going to check if we've got any questions in the chat. It looks like we might do. Yes, Presenter Coach is coming to desktop and mobile at some point. I like that one, Julian, saying that it's always interesting when you realise the marvellous slides presented by your senior management were created by AI. Yes, it's always good. Andrew's saying that he wish it was possible to set a design that's consistent throughout all the slides. Yes, there are some slides that come up in Designer that are just designed for a certain type of slide. So it may be they've only made it available for a title slide, or they've only made it available for a content, a text and a text content slide. That can be a pain. But usually, pardon me, if you play through design ideas a little bit and go through more design ideas, you should be able to find something that matches in some way, shape, or form. What else have we got? Can you choose an audience for Presenter Coach? That's a good question. I don't think we can at the moment. Let me just jump back to our report. Yes, it doesn't give us the option for professional or not yet. But to be fair, it is still a preview, so maybe that'll come in the future. So that's our rehearsal tool. Let's move on next to Excel. So, as you know, I'm quite an Excel geek if you've seen my previous things. So I'll just show you a couple of things that should make everybody's lives easier. How many times have you been sent a list of student names when what you actually asked for was email addresses? Or what you actually asked for was you got student numbers and you wanted email addresses, or you got email addresses and you wanted student numbers. Excel does this for you. So what I'll do, I'll click in here, I'll highlight all of this, and what I always do now is I always make a table. So I go insert and table for it. And my table doesn't have headers in this case, so let's just do it like that. And there we go, it's created a table for us. Now, because I copied this in off the internet, that's why that's all white in the background, but that's fine, it doesn't matter. And click along into this next column here. And I want to combine these two together. So I'm going to type out Enrique and West like that. And then we've got this little button here for autocorrect, because obviously it's automatically corrected it and put in a column for me and put in capitals for me. I do want to keep that. So let's go on to our next one. Let's start typing Damien, and it has already thought of what it is I might be trying to do. So it's filled in grey these other things. So I'm going to click off to one side, and there we go. We can see we have got all of those there. So now I want to turn these into email addresses for me. So I'm going to try that next. So let's again go with Enrique.west. I'm going to add blackpool.ac.uk onto the end of it there. Let's try it again. And there we go. It's figured out what I've done. It's figured out I've put a full stop in. It's figured out I've added at blackpool.ac.uk onto the end as well. And it's created all of those email addresses for me straight off the bat. So, and each of these are clickable as well, which will actually allow me to send an email directly to that person. So time saved is massive with this autofill option for us. Emails may not work like that one, but it is clever enough to pick up on ways that they might work. So if it's just the first letter of a name, for instance, you may just go E, D. So it's not quite being able to pick up on this one because we've moved too far along now from where we did before. But if this was next to it, they'd be able to, it would be able to figure it out. So let's just see if it can manage it. There we go. So it's figured that one out for us. Student numbers would work the same. Splitting it back from an email address into names would work as well. It doesn't like double-barreled names though, because it's basically doing, oh, you've ignored this first space and you've changed that first space into a full stop, or you've added this onto the end of it. It's not going to cope if there's a name space name space name with that, because it's not done it that way. So you may need to go through and tidy some of them up. But yes, you don't have to do the create table thing for this to work. You just then, if it wasn't with create table, you'd have to click the autofill button, which is this flash fill here for it, but it won't necessarily realize where it ended. I always like using a table because it gives you so many different features. It builds in sort and filter for you by each individual column. It also allows you to just click on this and you can insert a pivot table and it'll build one for you. You can insert a recommended pivot table. So the AI is working for you and it's figuring out, right, where do we put this? How many students start with that letter? Obviously, it doesn't know what we're doing with this. So it's just gone for what seems like what you might want to do. You get recommended charts based off it as well. So it can build charts for you straight off the bat. And it just makes life considerably easier. Also, if you're then going to go off and use something like Power Automate or Power Apps or Power BI, having it in table form means those pieces of software can actually read this data and do things with it. So you can either automate the filling of this from a Microsoft form. You could automate analysis of this using Power BI and get really great visuals from it. Lots of different things that you can do just by building this table. It's all stuff that in the past you'd have needed macros for, or you'd have needed to use Power Query for. But this now works just automatically. The AI does all of that background for you to make your life so much easier. It definitely makes my life easier anyway, because I'm using these things all the time. The other thing that we can use, if I just start bringing in some random numbers and figures into here for it, the AI is clever enough for you to automatically do some conditional formatting. So it automatically has some highlight cells rules that you can put in, top bottom rules that you can put in. There's data bars, so let's just click on that bit there, conditional formatting. Let's put some data bars in like that. So it's automatically put bars in based on what numbers in there. The larger numbers get more full. Alternatively, you can have it do the larger numbers go red or blue or whichever way around you want it to be. We can put color scales in. So let me just remove the data bars from it. So we've got our color scales that we can pop in, where again, it's looking at the numbers and it's putting in colors for us, depending on what we want it to be. And there's even icon sets that we can add in. So we've got all different ways of demonstrating the facts and figures to people. It even puts tiny little tables in, which is, I think that's amazing for it. So you've got all sorts of different things that you can use. And obviously you can set the different rules up. And what's good about this, if you've got it in table mode, so let's pop that in. Let's add a new row on the bottom. It's automatically going to fill it in for us, regardless of what information we put in, like that. So lots of different things that are useful through the AI for you. So it's now detected that these are part of this table, and any analysis that you then go on to do using this table through other software, those new bits of data are going to show up in that analysis as well. Okay, back into here. So we talked about automatic charts and pivot tables. They're not brilliant, I'll not lie. They make great assumptions on what it is that you might want to be showing, but it's still a starting point for you to then work from. The next one is the word editor. So popping back into our browser here and going back to Office, Word. Go. I'll just get some lower Ipsum text for us. There we go. So now we've got a full page of text there. Up the side here, we have got editor. So I'm going to click on editor. And it's going to pick up all different things for us. So the editor score is currently 0% because obviously it's not picked it up correctly. 99 plus spelling problems, 3 grammar problems. Have I used any acronyms? How clear have I been in how I've stated things? How concise have I been? What sort of formality am I using? What sort of inclusiveness, perspectives? What punctuation conventions am I following? Have I done any sensitive geopolitical references in what I've written? What vocabulary have I got? Do I want to check online for similarity? So see if I've accidentally copied something that somebody else has got. So if I click that, that's going to come back 100% because it's lower Ipsum text. It's everywhere in online. Do I want predictions of text in my thing. So do I want it to predict what I'm going to want to write? What document stats have I got? So how many words are there? How many characters? What paragraphs? How long will it take me to read it, to speak it? How readable is it? Now, this is a brilliant score. When I did my teacher training, my um, final task was to create a new resource to use with my science students at Key Stage 3. So at that time, the DFE had given out some really good rubrics for science lessons. So I took them, I converted them into what I thought was kid-friendly language. So then the kids could do their practicals, they could do their tasks, and they could work through these things and tick them off as they got it. At the end, all of that work was statistically irrelevant, and the reason for that was because the readability was very difficult to read. I hadn't actually done a readability check at the start to make sure it was suitable for 12 and 13-year-olds to use. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Joe, thank you. It's just said to put lorem ipsum in future, I can just put equals lorem 6.5. Let's give that a try. It probably works on the desktop version, but not on the web app version. That's a shame. Let's put that back up again. So yeah, having the readability there, things like that, absolutely amazing. It gives you ideas of enhancements. So what headings can you put in? What things might you want to highlight? And then up at the top here, going back to that thing before about whether it's formal, informal or not, you have this option here to change it formal, professional, casual. Now, I have no real idea what the difference is between formal and professional writing. One would assume if you were writing something formally, you'd want it. If you were writing something professionally, you'd want it to be formal. But I assume it's that difference between the sort of letter that you would write to a lawyer, that would probably be formal, as opposed to a letter that you would write to your boss, which would be professional. So it's probably got slightly different metrics in there. Obviously, with this particular document, it's not going to pick up any different editor score because it hates the fact the spellings are wrong. But that percentage would change, and various things on here would change based on which one you picked for how you were writing this down. So really powerful tool this, not only for us, but particularly for our students who may not have had to write something in a professional way before. They may be writing in a casual way, and you might be able to show to them, look, as a casual writing, you've got 85% on this. But if we swap it to professional, it's dropped down to 60% because you're not using the correct terminology, you're not writing in the correct way that people will want to follow. So very powerful stuff that for our AI. The next one along is Office Mobile. So this is a video. I'm just going to turn my desktop audio on for you, and hopefully this will work for you. Another use of AI that you have is the Office app on your phone. If you download it and then open it and press the plus, you have this Office Lens. Office Lens gives you various options, such as being able to scan in a whiteboard and scan in a document. So I'm going to go onto Document Scanner. I'm going to scan in this page. And you can see it's pinged around the outside of it. It's acknowledged where the page is. So I'm going to click Confirm. I'm then going to click Add New, because I want to get the page next to it as well. Now with this one, it struggles to distinguish it quite as much from the outside, as you can see. So you can actually edit this by moving it up, and it'll snap to where you want it to go. But you do have modular choice as well. You can move it in and it zooms in on the corners as you go. So I'm going to click Confirm, and then I'm going to press this Next button. So it's now taken those pictures there, and we can tap on File Type At the moment it's an image. Maybe we want it to be a PDF, or maybe we want it to be a Word document. So I'm going to go for PDF for this one and click Done. And it's now created a PDF of that document for us. So you can write over the top of it if you want to using your phone's pen. And you can type on it as well using the text tool. But that's about it. The one that's very impressive, if I click the plus again and I go to Lens, and this time instead of taking the picture, I'm going to take the ones that I've already got. So we've got this one and that one, and click Next. Instead of making it an image or a PDF, I'm going to make it a Word document and click Done. So not only has it taken the picture, it's now taken that text out as well. So you can actually edit it and use it as you wish. Now it's automatically gone into easy reading mode. Tapping this button at the bottom will turn it back into document view. And it keeps the pictures in there as well to help you out. The next step up from this comes when you press Actions. With Actions, we have image to text and image to table. So you can take a photograph and it will take any text from that photograph. So, as another example, I'll take one of my daughter's books and get to a position that my shade isn't getting in the way, and take a photograph. And then click Confirm. There it is, it's written it out for you. You can copy that, you can paste it wherever you want to go. The other one that we've got in this Actions bit is image to table. So we can click on there. Now on this page that I took a picture of before, there is a table there. So I'm just going to take a photograph of that table. I'm then going to cut it down using our snap to box and click Confirm. Now this is slightly blurry because I took the picture quickly, so it might struggle with it. So you can see because it's blurred at the beginning, it's not done a perfect job, but it has picked up different things. And if I take the time to take a clearer image of it and wait for it to zoom in correctly, it's now picked it up perfectly. And there you go, it's created a table from that image for you that you can then copy, put in a Word document, or open directly in an Excel spreadsheet. So that is pretty much everything on AI I'm able to cover today. The Word editor can't be used in the desktop app, no. Office Lens is amazing. If you use the Office Lens app itself rather than the Office app, it does also it can take that text and shove it straight into Immersive Reader for you. The Office app can't do that yet, but the Office Lens one does. I prefer using the Office app because it gives me some more tools. I've recently sold my house, so it was able to let me scan in PDF documents using the Office Lens tool on it, and then sign them as well on my phone. So it was a lot easier. I'm not sure, Esther. It depends on your handwriting, I assume. My handwriting is absolutely dire, so it probably won't be able to manage that one. But it's definitely worth a try. Yes, Catherine, if you use OneNote, let me get that up as an example for you. So we can, if I just go into draw, Oh, this is where I should really. I'm just going to drag this down onto my surface so I can type on it, and then I'll drag it back up to my screen again. Nope, no, I want it to actually be a pen instead. So the tool I'm going to show you is the math tool on this one. This is another bit of AI. So I've done 2 plus x equals 4. So I need to draw a box around this, the box tool, like so. I then click the math tool. It's detected what I've done, 2 plus x equals 4, gives me the option to fix it if it picks anything up incorrectly. I can click ink to math. Yeah, I've clicked ink to math, so it's now changed that from handwriting into text. I can then select an action and I can solve it for x if I want to. So x equals 2. I can drag that in if I want to. I can show the steps. I can drag that in so it teaches them how they do it. Like that. I can graph both sides in 2D and insert it on the page if I want to. So it's thinking about it. And I can just graph it in 2D as well if I want to. So just graphing the equation on there. The other thing I can do after I've solved for x is I can generate a practice quiz. So I'll just sign in. There we go. Instead of having to write this out myself, I could go, right, let's build a quiz that has 10 questions that follow this format for us. Let's generate that quiz. It's going to create a Microsoft form for me with multiple choice answers telling you solve for x, 1 plus x equals 4. Or is it solve for x, 5 plus x equals 7? So straight away, you have just saved yourself shed loads of time. Now, it works with quite a few equations. I've been able to get it working with quadratic equations. It can do differentials, it can do integrations. But as your equation gets more complex, it then stumbles and falters. So I've had this work with basic further mathematical equations. Once you start getting into the really complex university, high-level degree, maritime navigation sort of stuff, it can't do it for you anymore. But it's always worth a try. See how far you can get with it before it goes, oh no, we can't manage that one. So yeah, a very, very powerful tool for you that to save you a lot of time. I can definitely see scientists and engineers in here that your brains are currently just going, "Pow, that's going to be amazing." So yeah, lots of different tools built in there. You can do the ink to text as well in here. I think that needs to be on the desktop app for it to change directly into text. Because, like I say, my handwriting's dire, so I tend not to write things by hand. I tend to type it out anyway. So it's a function I've not used much. Oh, that's another one. Another thing of AI that's really useful is the insights tool in Teams. Now, I can't really show you it because obviously it's looking at actual student data, the one that I've got. But I can show you how to turn it on in your instance. Can I show you how to turn it on in your instance? Yes, I can. Does it work in the web app? Yes, it does. Right. So when you're in Teams, click the 3 dots on this side here, and then you want Insights, which is this one here. So it'll ask you, do you want to open it? Do you want to use it? Just click yes, and that's going to give you some class insights. Now, they were demonstrating this online yesterday, and I posted some of it on Twitter, so hopefully I'll be able to get to the pictures that I took to show you. Yes. There we go. So it's able to look at grades, it's able to look at meetings and tell you, for individual students, how are they doing? So this person got 98 on last assignment, but turned it in late. This person joined 4 out of 5 meetings late last week. So obviously, this particular person getting 98 on last assignment means she's doing really well, but she's got a problem with attending on time. How do you deal with that issue with them? It's highlighted it for you before it becomes a bigger issue, as these things often can. Um, we've then got our reflection. So you're able to look at the class as a whole, of all of your classes as a whole, and see how they're doing. So what are their grades? What's their communication activities? What's their digital activities? All those things. Um, discussion, obviously, Teams is a discussion platform, so you get plenty of discussion on there, and also taking action. So it looks at time management, it looks at meetings on there as well. One other cool thing that I spotted, yes, it is based on class teams. It doesn't work. You have to have your team set as a class team for it to actually work. One thing I noticed the other day was habits came up on one, and it told me that a certain somebody has a habit of checking their class team at 2 in the morning. So they work very early mornings on it, and it just lets you know that this particular student is finding the quiet time to do their work at this time of day. It tracks time of day that people have been on. It tracks how many of your students have been inactive, so who hasn't actually clicked on the team that week. All sorts of different things. Yes, my analytics. So I can possibly show you my analytics. Let's see. There we go. Don't really want it to show names if you can avoid it. Let me just see what pops up. If I do. Yeah, that's okay. I can show that. So with my analytics, it's got focus time, well-being, collaboration, and networking, as well as some productivity insights into here as well. So that's myanalytics.microsoft.com. I've got mine set up to give me focus time. So every day it gives me 2 hours of focus time where it automatically swaps my teams to be do not disturb so I don't get interrupted in it and people can't book with me during those times. Well-being, how many quiet days have you had? In the past 4 weeks, I've only actually not accessed Teams or Outlook for 3 days. That's bad. That should be considerably better than that. But that's something for me to work on. Network, how many collaborators have you had? How many meetings, how many chats and calls, how many emails have you had, and who has it been with? And also collaboration. So how long do you spend actually in meetings, emails, chats, and calls out of all the time that you spend on? And for me, it's 51% because obviously I'm training people. So I'm always in meetings with people. And as teachers, we've probably got the same sort of things. And you can drill down more into each of these. And it gives you some ideas as well on things that you could do to do better. This is also available when you're in an email. You can click Insights as one of the options in there, and it'll come up with suggestions on, you've emailed this person and you asked them a question. Has that been followed up on? Have they responded to you, or do you need to chase it up? It reads your emails and says, you said you'd do this. Have you done it? Do you need to follow it up? Do you want these people to be priority contacts? All sorts of different things like that, all built into that AI tool of My Analytics.